The sky of the distant world spread like a silver ocean over the horizon, and as the human astronaut named Daniel Hawley stepped out of his damaged exploration pod, he felt the presence of something ancient and gentle in the air. His landing had not been planned. A sudden wave of cosmic wind forced the pod off its projected course and dropped him into an unknown region of the planet Araddle. The ground shimmered with a soft bluish glow, as though the soil itself breathed with quiet life. Daniel steadied himself, taking slow breaths because the air, though alien, was breathable enough for short periods without equipment. His helmet stayed attached to his suit, but he lifted the visor so he could see the landscape more clearly. The trees around him rose in spiraling arcs as if grown from liquid light. They emitted faint pulses that reminded him of heartbeats. Each pulse brightened the forest for a brief moment, creating an effect like countless lanterns flickering in the dark. Daniel touched one of the trees and felt warmth trickling into his palm. The bark felt soft, almost velvety. He whispered to himself that he was witnessing a living miracle beyond any training simulation he had ever experienced. As he walked deeper into the forest, he became aware of faint rustling. Not the rustling of leaves, but the sound of footsteps, soft and cautious. Daniel tightened his grip on the utility tool attached to his belt. He knew life existed on Araddle, but human exploration had never reached this region before. Suddenly, 3 figures stepped out from behind the glowing trees. They were taller than humans, with slightly elongated limbs and smooth, luminous skin that shifted in gentle gradients of color according to their movements. Their eyes were large, reflecting every source of light like pools of shimmering water. The tallest figure approached with calm, deliberate steps. Daniel raised his hands to show he meant no harm. The alien leader tilted their heads, studying him with a serenity Daniel did not expect. Finally, the alien placed a hand over their chest and spoke in a melodic tone that vibrated through the air like a soft instrument. Daniel could not understand the words, but the tone itself felt peaceful. The alien repeated the gesture, and Daniel copied it. The alien's eyes brightened with recognition. Names were exchanged through gestures and shapes drawn in the air. The leader identified themselves as Aaron. The smaller figure, likely a child, was named Leora. The third looked slightly older, appearing cautious but curious, and her name was Selah. Aaron motioned for Daniel to follow. Seeing no hostility and weighed by the need to survive in this unknown world, Daniel agreed. Together, they walked through the glowing forest until they reached an elevated clearing where large structures shaped like spirals rose from the earth. These structures did not look built, but grown like the trees. As Daniel approached the nearest spiral structure, it emitted a warm light that wrapped around him like an invitation. Selah placed a hand on the side of the structure, and a panel opened, revealing an interior lit with soft blue light. Inside, Daniel saw seats, cushions, and crystalline objects hovering gently in the air. Leora laughed with delight and pointed at one hovering crystal, urging Daniel to touch it. He did, and the crystal projected an image of the sky outside. It was like being inside a living home. Aaron gestured for Daniel to sit. Daniel lowered himself onto a seat that molded itself to his shape, adapting with remarkable intelligence. Aaron spoke again, using melodic tones. Daniel struggled to understand until he remembered the universal translator stored in his suit. He activated it, allowing the device to record the alien voices. After a moment, the translator began producing rough interpretations. Aaron asked if Daniel was hurt. Daniel explained that his landing pod malfunctioned and he needed help to repair it. Aaron listened, then nodded slowly as the translator struggled to match the alien syntax. Aaron replied that the forest had guided him here for a reason. Daniel could not fully understand, but he sensed the gravity of Aaron's words. Selah prepared a drink, served in a small cup grown from the wall itself. The drink was translucent with a mild, sweet scent. Daniel hesitated, but when Aaron nodded reassuringly, he tasted it. The liquid instantly filled him with warmth, like a wave of healing comfort. Leora clapped her hands excitedly, pleased that Daniel liked the drink. It reminded Daniel of the purest mountain spring water infused with gentle energy. Over the next hours, Aaron's family taught Daniel how to communicate through symbols, shapes, and melodic tones. Daniel learned that Aaron was a guide in their community, someone who helped travelers and taught younger generations the meaning of harmony. Selah was a healer skilled at using the planet's natural energy to mend wounds. Leora was full of curiosity, always asking questions, even if Daniel could not always understand them. Daniel found himself smiling more than he expected. As the sun of Arattle dipped beneath the horizon, the forest brightened even more. Thousands of tiny organisms awakened from their daytime slumber, sending waves of light up the trees, creating rivers of flowing luminance across the landscape. Aaron explained that the planet's energy flowed in cycles much like tides on Earth. Every night the planet exhaled light to guide its inhabitants. Daniel asked Aaron about their beliefs. Aaron explained that Arattle had ancient traditions rooted in cycles of growth and harmony. They believed every visitor carried a spark of destiny shaped by the planet. Daniel found the idea beautiful, though he could not imagine being anything more than a lost astronaut waiting for rescue. Rin touched Daniel's shoulder gently and said through the translator that wisdom is not in knowing one's path fully, but in taking each step with intention. Daniel nodded, hearing meaning in the words, even if the syntax sounded odd. Later that night, Daniel followed Aaron outside. The sky glowed with two moons, one larger and reddish, the other small and pale blue. Aaron said that their ancestors once traveled beyond their world, searching for understanding. But they discovered that true wisdom lay not in distant stars, but in the bonds shared between beings. Daniel thought about Earth, its conflicts, its advancements, and its loneliness in the cosmic dark. He wondered if humans had forgotten the value of simple connection. Selah joined them carrying a glowing crystal. She motioned for Daniel to kneel. She touched the crystal to her forehead, then gently pressed it to Daniel's forehead. A wave of sensation washed over him. Colors, shapes, memories, and sounds blended together. He saw the landscape of Arattle as if he had lived there for years. He saw families working together, glowing trees nurturing their children, and ancient beings meditating in luminous caverns. The experience ended as quickly as it had begun. Selah explained that the crystal shared a fragment of the planet's memory. Daniel felt overwhelmed but grateful. He thanked her as best as he could. Leora ran up, hugging Daniel's leg with affection. Aaron smiled, watching them. In the following days, Daniel lived with Aaron's family. He helped gather energy fruits from the forest. He learned how to respect the rhythm of the land. Selah taught him how to listen to the trees and hear faint echoes of their energy. Leora insisted on showing him every corner of the clearing, sometimes running ahead, and then running back to pull his hand forward. Daniel found himself feeling like an older brother to the young alien child. Each evening, Aaron and Daniel sat outside the spiral home. They exchanged stories. Daniel spoke of Earth, of its oceans, of its people, striving for peace despite hardship. Aaron listened intently, often murmuring thoughtful responses. Aaron shared stories of ancient Arattle travelers who explored nearby moons and returned with tales of strange creatures and breathtaking phenomena. Daniel realized that even though Aaron's people were peaceful, they were also explorers, seekers of knowledge. One night Daniel expressed his fear. He admitted that he worried about never returning to Earth. Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder and said that home is not only the place where one is born, but also the place where one is understood. Daniel felt tears well in his eyes. Aaron's wisdom felt comforting, like warmth on a cold day. The next morning, Aaron guided Daniel to the damaged pod. The alien family examined it with fascination. Selah touched the cracked surface, and a faint ripple of energy spread across the pod. She explained that the metal was wounded and needed time to heal. Daniel laughed softly because he had never imagined technology could be described as wounded. Aaron said they could help repair it, but Daniel would need to participate fully. The process required harmony between person and machine. Over the next days they worked together. Daniel placed his hands on the pod while Selah channeled energy into it. Aaron guided Daniel through breathing patterns that allowed his own energy to synchronize with the planet's rhythm. Slowly the cracks in the pod sealed. During this time Daniel and Leora became even closer. She brought him small gifts like glowing leaves and tiny crystals. Daniel drew pictures of Earth for her, using a small stylus and pad from his suit. Leora laughed at the shapes of Earth animals and tried to imitate their movements. Daniel's heart warmed watching her. One afternoon Daniel and Selah walked through the forest. Selah explained that a rattle taught harmony by showing how every being contributed to the balance of the world. Daniel asked Selah what she thought of humans. Selah smiled and said humans carried both fire and water within their hearts, making them unpredictable yet full of potential. Daniel felt honored by her words. As the pod neared completion, Daniel knew his time with Aaron's family was ending. The thought filled him with both relief and sorrow. He longed to return to Earth to share what he had learned. Yet he also felt deeply connected to Aaron, Selah, and Leora. They had become more than a host family. They had become a bridge between worlds. On the final night before departure, Aaron gathered his family and Daniel in a circle outside the spiral home. The trees glowed brighter than usual, as though the planet itself honored the moment. Aaron spoke in melodic tones, and the translator conveyed the message. Aaron said Daniel's arrival was not an accident. It was the result of a cosmic meeting of hearts. Aaron offered Daniel a small crystal like the one used earlier. This stone carried a memory crafted just for him. Daniel accepted it with gratitude. Leora hugged Daniel tightly. Selah placed her hand on his cheek and whispered a blessing. Daniel felt emotion rising like a tide. He thanked them with all the sincerity in his heart. The next morning Daniel entered the repaired pod. Aaron, Selah, and Leora stood outside watching with warm expressions. Daniel placed the crystal beside his seat and activated the pod. The engines hummed softly. The hatch closed. Through the window Daniel raised his hand. The alien family raised theirs in return. The pod lifted, gently rising above the clearing. The glowing forest stretched beneath him, a world of light and harmony. Daniel whispered that he would never forget them. The pod ascended into the sky, heading toward the orbiting ship sent to find him. As the planet shrank below, Daniel held the crystal tightly. He felt the warmth of a rattle flowing through it. He realized that even though he was leaving, he had gained something far greater than knowledge. He had gained a connection to another world and another family. He felt renewed with a sense of purpose. He would return to Earth not just as an astronaut, but as a messenger of harmony. He would tell humanity that wisdom exists beyond fear, and that connection is the most powerful force in the universe. And so Daniel Hawley traveled back to his world carrying the wisdom of Aaron, Selah, and Leora. His heart forever changed by the day humanity met the unknown and discovered family among the stars.